Hello and welcome. In this video, we will learn to use the super function in Python. Alright. Now, I will take an example and then explain you how and why to use the super function. Okay. So here I will create a class by the name manager. And in this, I will define the init method and I will have self in this. Okay. Now, what attributes does a manager have? He will have a name and an employee ID, right? So here I will say name and employee ID. Okay. And inside the init method, I will say self.name is equal to name, self.employee ID is equal to employee ID. All right. Now I will copy this and paste it 2 more times. And I will change this to engineer and I will change this to salesperson. Okay. Now all 3 salesperson, engineer and manager will have a name and employee ID, right? And along with that, they will also have some specific attributes, correct? For example, let us say the manager has a department that he has to manage. And so here I will say self.department equal to department. Okay. An engineer may have a specialization. So here I will say specialization. And inside I will say self.specialization equal to specialization. Okay. And a salesperson may have a territory. So I will say territory here. And inside I will say self.territory is equal to territory. Alright. So this is unique to salesperson, this is unique to engineer, and this is unique to the manager. Okay. Now, salesperson, engineer, and manager are all employees, right? So let me create one more class by the name employees. Okay. And I will make this the parent class. Alright. And I will make these 3 inherit from the parent class. Alright. Now, in programming, we try not to repeat any code if we don't have to. Okay. So looking at these, what do all of these subclasses or child classes have in common? They all share the attributes of name and employee ID, right? The ways in which they differ are that manager has a department, engineer has a specialization, and salesperson has a territory. Correct? Now, if we have to make any changes to any one of these common attributes, then we will have to do it manually. For example, if I have to change employee ID to emp ID, then I will have to go on changing everywhere. And in the process, I may make some mistakes too, right? So I do not want to do that. I do not want to take a chance of making mistakes, and also I do not want to do this manually. So this is where inheritance and the super function can come in handy. Okay. So what we will do now is we will take the common attributes of name and employee ID and place them within the parent class. Okay. These child classes will then inherit those attributes. Alright. So here in employees, I will say init and I will say self and name employee ID. Alright. Now I will copy this and I will paste it inside this. Okay. Now we don't need to manually assign the name and employee ID attributes within each of the constructors for the children. Instead, what we can do is within the constructor of each of these children classes, we can call the constructor of the parent class, also known as the superclass. Alright. So here, instead of these two lines, I can say super and init, and inside brackets, we need to pass in the name and the employee ID that we receive. Okay. So I will copy this and I will paste here. I will paste here too. Alright. So we are using the super function and then we are calling the constructor of the parent class. Okay. We then pass in the name and employee ID that we receive. Then in each subclass or child class, we handle the attributes specific to that type of the employee. Okay. So these are specific. And so we cannot have this in the parent class. Alright. So what we have done is we have asked the super function to take care of the attributes that all these classes have in common. Okay. Now let us create objects and check if this works. Okay. I will say manager is equal to manager and then I will pass a nil and then employee code, let me say E001. Alright. So these two are name and employee ID. Now we will pass in the department. I will say design. Okay. And now here I will say print manager dot name. And when I do that, I get a nil as the output. Okay. I will clear this and I will change this to department. And when I run this, I get department. I will change this to employee ID. And when I run this, I get E001 as the employee ID. So this is working fine. Now let us analyze what happens when this line gets executed. Okay. When this line gets executed, the init method of the manager class will be invoked and a nil will be sent to name, E001 will be sent to employee ID, and design will be sent to the department. Okay. Inside this constructor, we have the constructor of the parent class. Now, how do we know that this is of the parent class? We have the super function here. Okay. Super function refers to the parent class. Now, the init method of the parent class will be invoked and a nil and E001 will be sent to it. Okay. So here self.name is equal to name. So this will set the manager dot name equal to Anil, and this will set the manager dot employee ID to E001. All right. So these two will be set here. And then we are handling the department here. So manager.department will be set to design. Okay. And here I have printed manager.employee ID, which is nothing but this. Okay. So this is what happens when this line gets executed. Okay. You can think of this as this. Okay, we are calling we are invoking the init method of the parent class. All right. So this is how we can use the super function to reuse the constructor of the parent class. Okay. We don't have to manually assign each of the common attributes within each of the children classes. We can do that just in one place. All right. So let me come here and create an object by the name engineer, and I will pass Ravi and employee code E002, and then the specialization is software. All right. So here I will say engineer and I will say specialization. Okay. So I will run this and I get software. In the same way, we can create an object of salesperson and we can check it out. Okay. Now, what we can do is we can extend the functionality of a method too. Okay. Let me show you how. So here in the employees class or the parent class, I will define a function to display info. All right. So here in brackets, I will say self, and in this, I will display the basic information of the employees. Okay. I will say self.name and employee ID all right. So this is a function inside the parent class. Now we know that we can call this function using an object, right? So here I will say display info and bring it out of the print function. Now when I run this, I get name Ravi, employee ID E002 as the output, right? Meaning I was able to access this method using an object, right? Now what I will do is I will copy this and paste it inside every child class. All right, and I will paste it here too. Okay, let me give a line break so that it is easy for you to understand. Now I have pasted the function in all the child classes or children classes. Now here I will change name to department, and here too I will say department, and then I will delete this. Okay, so here I will say specialization, and I will have specialization here, and I will delete this. All right, and here I will have territory and territory, and I will delete this. Okay, so I have a function by the same name in all the children classes and also in the parent class. Correct? So now if I say engineer.displayInfo, will this be executed or will this be executed? Let us check it out. I will run this and I get specialization software, meaning the function or the method of the child class was executed, and this is called as method overriding. Okay, if a child shares a similar method with a parent, then the child's method will be executed and not the parents. Okay, now if we would like to extend the functionality of a method from a parent, we can use the super function. So if I want to print the specialization along with the name and employee ID, I can use the super function. Okay, so here in the function definition, I will say super, and then I will say display info. All right, so this is equal to saying employee dot display info. Okay, so here I will copy this and paste it in this and in this too. All right, so now when I call the function engineer.displayInfo, I will get the output of the parent class and also the child class. Okay, so inside the child class, where is it? Engineer, it is here. We have used the super function and then the method of the parent class. And after that, we have the print statement of this child class itself. So when we call or when we called this was called, meaning this was called, due to which this was printed. This is the result, and then this was printed, and this is the result. All right, so this is how we use the super function. Okay, It is used in a child class to call the methods from a parent class, which is also known as the superclass. Okay. So how can we define the super function? Super function is a function used within a child class to call the methods from its parent class. The child class is also known as the subclass, and the parent class is called as the superclass, and hence the name super function. Okay. Using super function, we can extend the functionality of inherited methods. Alright.